Hey, thank you for listening to Reformed Eve. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about a holiday that is practiced in many areas of the world. It has different names, but here in the United States, it's called Halloween. And I wanted to talk about it because I think a lot of people they celebrate Halloween, but they don't really know kind of what it's about. And there's kind of a lot of speculation on how Halloween started. Some say that Halloween started as like a Celtic tradition. Others say it had like Christian or roots. Others say, it's like deeply pagan roots with something called Samhain, like a Gaelic festival. So anyways, whatever it is, it seems that it included lighting services for those who were dead, or maybe warding off bad spirits, or just things like that. So at some point it started becoming like a thing about trick or treat and costumes, and from what I understand from some traditions, it seems like Halloween was a day to connect with the dead in hopes to gain some kind of power or intercession. So the Halloween origins are not really clear, but they seem to be mostly pagan in nature. So what I will say is this. When I was younger, Halloween was exciting. When I was younger, I actually lived in Germany, and in Germany, I think the Halloween equivalent is called Fasching, and it's kind of like Mardi Gras style. It has like parades and people throwing candy and just different costumes, and it's kind of a crazy time. Probably not as crazy as Mardi Gras, but pretty I guess entertaining for everybody. I was really young, so I don't really remember too much except for people throwing candy from parade floats. But I love dressing up every year. Every year was so fun, and I just really enjoyed Halloween, giving out candy, all that stuff. My husband actually is the one that mentioned to me that Halloween was pagan. So I never really thought about it too much, and I don't know if it's just out of, being naive or ignorance, or just kind of wanting to not deal with that aspect of my life, the fact that I celebrated Halloween as a Christian. So when I was going through Instagram, there was a question that was like, should Christians celebrate Halloween? And the girl who made the video wrote, the short answer is no. So what I'm going to tell you is this, and I really should have had the Bible verse ready, but the Bible verse mentioned that we're accountable for what we learned. Like pretty much when we're born, we don't really know that much. Over time, we're learning. Once we become convicted by something, like pretend we learn that something is right or something is wrong, we want to kind of go with that, because that's the Holy Spirit guiding us to a more positive direction, a more Christ-centered direction. So something that kind of changed with me is this. The more I matured, I really stopped going to Halloween parties. I stopped doing like all that stuff, because I kind of noticed that most of it was really negative, and a lot of times like Halloween is associated with like people drinking or doing weird things or having weird costumes, or even like a lot of promiscuity, so a lot of like sexual things going on that are immoral, or a lot of like weird sacrifices and like animals being killed and stuff like that. So there's a lot of strange things going on Halloween that are not positive. So I know that at a church that I went to, instead of Halloween, they had like an autumn fest. So the Autumn Fest, they kind of made it Christ-centered, where they kind of, celebrated pumpkins and Christ and the color orange and fall-themed foods, things like that. So I would say that if you are going to celebrate something that's happening in the October, transitioning to November, things like that, to definitely keep it autumn themed or keep it Christ centered, because we really have to listen to the Holy Spirit. We have to listen and see like our friends taking us on a right path. Is it really okay to drink until you're like very, very drunk? Is it okay to wear like those sexy costumes and, be promiscuous even if it's just for a night? In my opinion, no, it's not okay, but it's even less okay when we know it's wrong. And honestly, this kind of day seems like it's dedicated to people who kind of follow like occult things or darker things. And I wanted to read you something from the Bible that in Deuteronomy 18:10-12 says this: "There shall not be found among you anyone who burns his son or daughter as an offering, anyone who practices divination or tells fortunes or interprets omens, or a sorcerer or charmer or medium, or a necromancer, or one who inquires of the dead. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord." And 2 Corinthians 11:14 says this: "And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light." When I was little, my mom used to tell me that on Halloween, that the devil would dress up and be among the people. I actually didn't believe this, and I thought she was just trying to scare me. But the older I got, the more I realized that this is true. And people think that the devil is like an ugly thing with horns and a tail and stuff like that, but he's actually probably extremely attractive because he is an angel of light, and he is a seducer, and he is tempting, and he is someone that wants to bring you into the world of sin by making it seem desirable or okay. So he makes things that are bad good, and he makes things that should alarm you as something that entices you. So here in Corinthians it says, even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. And Ecclesiastes 9:5-6 says, "For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing, and they have no more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. Their love and their hate and their envy has already perished, and forever they have no more share in all that is done under the sun." So what's interesting about that is a lot of people who kind of celebrate things that are related to those of the dead, the memory of them, of course, is alive in our hearts and in our minds. But it seems like, according to the Bible, it's not good to focus entirely on death, because Jesus is about life. So our focus should be walking in light, being a light in the world, walking in the light of Jesus, letting the light of Jesus shine from inside outward, making a difference in the world, doing positive, good, helpful things. It seems like the Bible doesn't really want people to dedicate a day to communicating with the dead or to participate in unclean things. Of course, we know as people, especially as women, that we should not be dressing promiscuous, because what we're doing is we're trying to get attention from men and other people by looking a certain way. And what we're actually doing is causing others to stumble, and the Bible specifically talks about this. We don't want to cause others to stumble. We don't want to cause others to fall or to sin, because when we become a stumbling block, we are blocking blessings from heaven. We are blocking others from getting close to God. So I would say that not celebrating Halloween has definitely been a transition for me, from someone who was really very much into it to someone who really just kind of keeps it like autumn themed, fall themed. I really changed it because I felt convicted. I don't know if you feel convicted. I don't know if you care. I would just say, whatever you do, Keep it respectful to yourself. Keep it respectful to God. Keep Jesus in mind. But also know that whatever you're involved in and whatever you're doing that's kind of dark in nature or occult, these things can, in my opinion, open up portals and windows to things that you don't want in your life. The way that God exists, the way that light exists, also darkness and evil things exist. And the Bible mentions that there's spiritual warfare going on. There's things we don't see. I bet you if someone turned a light on, like an x-ray vision, to see the demons around us, they are surrounding us. They look like glowing in the x-ray. They are all over us, ready to come in. They need a host. They need somebody. They need to invade. But if we have the armor of God on, they can't come inside. But they're waiting. They're waiting for that moment of weakness to get inside you. They need a host because they're parasites. That's why in the story about Jesus, where he drove out the demons and they begged to go into the pigs, they can't be floating around without sucking the life out of something. So if we're going to say that we're Christ-like, let's think, is the activity that we're doing something we would do with Jesus standing by our side? Remember that whole expression, what would Jesus do? I know that was like cliche and everything, but think about this. Would you be doing that activity with Jesus by your side? If you truly feel okay with it, great. But if you don't, that's the Holy Spirit trying to warn you that something is wrong. So I don't really believe in like complete cold turkey quitting something, because humans don't usually work that way. What I want to do is guide you to start thinking about how you can make Halloween more Christ-like by putting more elements of fall and more elements of the bounty and love of Jesus Christ into something that is more secular. We want to fill that secular aspect with light. We want to be a light in the world. Holidays like this kind of actually put a basket over the light that we offer, because they kind of make us seem a little bit kind of like hypocrites. And we really don't want to be hypocrites, because hypocrites, the Bible talks about people that pray in the streets all loud, but then they're trying to act all like perfect, but then really deep inside they're really not good people. And I want us to be a light in the world. I want us to think of small ways we can start transitioning toward less Halloween and more Jesus, less promiscuous and more modest, less occult and more the celebration of life instead of death. Hopefully I did not offend anybody. I never want to do that. I always want to respect you. I just wanted to share with you my personal story about Halloween. So it's kind of hard sometimes because it's everywhere, but there's definitely things you can cut down on or things you can do differently. So a small thing is like if you ever have wreaths in your home. I remember a long time ago I made a wreath and it was like an asylum theme, and it had like needles and gauze and all this stuff. But this year I made a wreath with like 2 little birds and a little nest and like autumn leaves. So it was definitely more autumn themed with beautiful colors, and it said something like God blessed his home or something like that. So start transitioning your mind, start transitioning your traditions that are more occult in nature into a way that's more Christ-like. And these little changes will make a big difference in your life. And it's not going to be a perfect process, but that's okay. As long as it's in process, I'm so proud of you, right? And Jesus will definitely take notice of these little changes that you do. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an amazing day. And don't eat too much candy because it's not good for you, but dark chocolate is okay. All right, well, God bless you and have a beautiful day.